I grew up in the era where gaming was coming to the forefront. My early teenage years were spent getting slaughtered in Call of Duty 4 over on the Xbox 360, and then sitting and crying in the corner when all of my mates ripped me about getting myself stuck on my own plasma grenade in Halo 3. With that being said though, I am so far from being a professional gamer. I mean, I would love to be, but I'll probably just say that I am an enthusiast. I strongly believe that there's a game out there for everyone. You've just got to find it. Over the last 3 years, I made the switch over from console gaming to PC, and it's been almost like a fever dream. There's so many games to choose from, so many generations that are available to play at just the push of a button. Which brings me on to the topic that I wanted to talk about. Consoles right now for me are a struggle, and honestly, it just sucks. There's so many good things about them. The price points are great for what you're getting, and the fact that they are almost just so straightforward to use. It makes it perfect for an entry-level gaming device for almost anyone. Look at the Nintendo Switch. That's done so well at introducing gaming to a younger audience, one that will be at the forefront of many of the great things to come from gaming over the next 20 to 30 years. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't have its downsides. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not someone who believes that everyone should be a PC gamer. That in itself is a massive challenge that, although people are down for, it can be limiting. The last few weeks in particular are what have caused me to think about this. I've recently been incredibly tired from my day job, and the last thing I've been wanting to do is go into my office, sit at my desk and play games. It doesn't mean that I don't want to play games though, I just don't want to be stuck behind a desk, if you know what I mean. Recently I've been playing on my PS5 in bed, and it's caused me to rethink a lot of things about consoles that back when I was a console user, I just kind of accepted about them being the norm, and I never really wanted anything else of it. Though this isn't specific about the PlayStation 5, some points are, and most are universal to other consoles. The first one for me is backwards compatibility. I mean, Xbox does have backwards compatibility, but only with specific games from specific generations. Sure, the Series X can play Xbox One games, but it can only play a handful of 360 games. Those original Xbox titles, you can probably play about 3 of the ones that you would actually want to play. And the PlayStation 5 will let you play PlayStation 4 games, but if you want anything lower than that, your best bet really is just to pay for the cloud streaming that they do. That will allow you to stream some of their older games, but you can't install them and play them, they have to be streamed. And they also have an extremely limited selection in what you are able to play. And then there's Nintendo, the ones who always set the scene and then get overtaken. They do pretty much the same thing. The Switch allows you to emulate older games through their pay monthly online services, but again, not the top hitters, just some mediocre games that most people either haven't heard of or just wouldn't really ever consider playing. You know when you get a hankering to play a game, but then your console just doesn't accept it? Even if I had to buy the game again, as long as I'm not paying an overly ridiculous price, then I really wouldn't mind at all doing that, but it just seems that they make it impossible to do so. Like I said earlier, there really are no limitations when it comes to PC. I've recently started playing through Spec Ops The Line. I've been told that the story for it is incredible and I would love to sit in bed and play it through on my TV. But because it's a game that came out in 2012, all the way back on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, it's just not playable on console. That is of course unless you actually want to keep all of your old consoles and have them all hooked up at the same time, but that really does just make everything look really messy, and I can almost guarantee that you're running out of either plug sockets or HDMI inputs. Sure, you could switch them all out, but then that just creates an awful lot more hassle than if they were all available on the same platform. Then it comes over to the pricing. I'll still hold my head up high when I say that a console is a great entry-level device when it comes to playing games, but I also have to say that it's only really great up until a certain point. With each iteration of consoles, they get more and more expensive, which is quite fair considering the technology inside of them is becoming way more advanced, and obviously that all-important inflation is coming into play. But this means that games are also becoming more and more expensive. We're at the point now where a AAA release of a game is between £70 and £80. That's insane. AAA games used to be $50 when I first started playing, and realistically that was only in the first couple of weeks of the release, then it would usually go down in price massively. It doesn't seem to be the same as this anymore though. This is more so a dig at PlayStation and Nintendo. Xbox have done kind of okay on this part, but not allowing people to buy keys for games is a madness. Key resellers usually work by buying large quantities of the game for a steep discount, allowing for the customers to reap the rewards and buy games for a much cheaper value. Example of this are the PC versions of Hogwarts Legacy. On release, this game was around £40 if you brought the key from CD Keys. Link for that in the description, by the way. Whereas if I were to buy it over on PlayStation, the Deluxe Edition would have sent me back around £85, which is almost double what I had paid for it. When it comes to pricing though, it's not just all about the price of games. With every console you want to play online, you have to pay for that privilege, which I kind of understand because they're providing a service, but then you can play anything online for free as long as you own the game on PC. And I mean, sure, there are some great services out there, like the Xbox Game Pass is incredible value for money. Getting Game Pass Ultimate, which does include your Xbox Live, allows you to play online for only £11. That lets you play online and have access to everything that Xbox are offering, for a month anyway. And then the biggest kick in the teeth for me is the service that the PlayStation have launched, the new PlayStation Plus. Some of the games in their catalogue are great, don't get me wrong, but there's so many tiers that it makes it almost impossible to know if you're getting a good deal out of it or not. I mean, the cloud streaming is shoddy at best, at least for me, and the access to demos really shouldn't be a paid thing. I feel like a demo is a showcase for what the game actually is, so having to pay for that baffles me beyond belief. Not to mention when it comes to the point where after a year or two, you would have actually been better off purchasing just a PC, after having to pay for all of these games at this ridiculous high markup, and having to pay for online capabilities. It just doesn't really make sense. A console is, and probably always will be, a fit-for-purpose machine. The purpose it fulfills is exactly what it says on the tin. It's usually some form of media player. It can play DVDs, Blu-rays, stream from the internet, and play video games. That's about all it can do though. With that being said, there are some great strides in these areas as consoles like the Xbox Series X are now able to be used for emulation. So, although it's still playing games, it's not for the original purpose, you know? There's also some very, very limited customizability when it comes to consoles. You have to set themes to use, the casing of the product will always be the same. I mean, sure you can buy some skins to go on the console to make it look slightly different, but a PS5 will always look like a PS5. Whereas with things like PCs, you can change them to look incredibly different with very little hassle. You also run into the same issue when it comes to upgradability. With most consoles, the only real options you have are to be able to change the storage options. All other things are very much set in stone. With the PS5, you can add in an M.2 SSD. This just adds some extra storage. And then with the Xbox Series X, you do have to buy the very specific extra storage that Microsoft designed for it. And then with the Nintendo Switch, it has the option to add a micro SD card. I will add that the storage that Microsoft have designed is extremely overpriced. So again, they're not doing too great on that front either. At least when you get a PC, you have the ability to swap out pretty much every single component and upgrade whatever you need whenever you need to. So long as the parts are compatible, that is. But it does mean that once you've got one PC, in theory you can just replace parts as and when they break, or upgrade them whenever you get the spare money, and you're kinda set for life. Sure, in 10 to 15 years it won't be the same PC you started with, but hey, one big investment can last you a very long time. Now I understand that it sounds like I'm being completely against console gaming, but in truth, there are some major pros to console gaming. It really isn't all that bad. For one, the affordability of a console is way better than that of a PC. The PS5 retails for just under £500, whereas to build a PC that has the same sort of processing power to actually match playing games to the same quality, you're looking at more like £1,000. If you were to buy a console pre-owned as well, it would reduce the price even further, making it even better value for money. Older generations cost a lot less as well. If you were to buy a PS4 or an Xbox One, you would only really be set back by like £200. And as they are the older generation, they only really came out of circulation around a year ago. Most recent games are available for the last generations alongside the first, with only a few exceptions. There are also some games that come out as complete console exclusives. Look at games like God of War. It's finally been ported over to PC, but it took a good few years to get to that point. We'll probably be looking at 2025 by the time that Ragnarok finally comes to PC, which is another thing to look at. Sometimes the PC port for console games come way later than anticipated, so sometimes that can be a massive bummer. GTA 5 took an extra 2 years to come out on PC, and that's a game that no one thought they'd have to wait for. But to be honest, based on the lifespan of a game, it really doesn't matter that much for this fanbase. I know I personally have it on every console for basically no reason other than being able to play with different friends. But then playing with friends, Although the multiplayer does cost on consoles, the one thing that's becoming a lot more mainstream at the moment is the cross-play function. That means that it doesn't matter what platform you're playing on for a lot of the games, because if you're a PlayStation fan, you can still play with your friends over on PC. It's a beautiful thing that they've been working on for a little while now, and honestly, I'm all here for it. All of that though is really just an afterthought, because setting up a console is literally the easiest thing in the world. You need a maximum of 3 cables, and that really is it. That is of course if your controller doesn't need charging. Then you just have to add the 4th. It really is as simple as taking it out of the box, plugging in the power, then using a HDMI to transmit audio and video onto your TV or monitor, and then the 3rd cable is optional, but that would be Ethernet if you weren't willing to use Wi-Fi. The simplicity of a console can be one of the best things about them. They're so much easier to troubleshoot if anything goes wrong, and for the most part of the issues that you get on consoles, they're pretty much always software related. Sure, hard drives and stuff can die, but honestly it's not very often that it happens. The most common issue on consoles for the last 10 years has been the failure of disk drives. But these days, with such heavy usage of the internet, even without a disk drive, you're pretty much fine to carry on using a console without one. I think at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, it all comes down to personal preference. If you're someone who hasn't really played many games, it's probably best that you get a console before investing some heavy money to buy yourself a PC. If you're someone that really cares about how your games look, getting a PC with a good graphics card and a great monitor to suit is probably going to be a better bet for you. If you play a lot of competitive FPS games that need high refresh rates and great frames, you're also probably going to be best jumping over to PC. Neither is right or wrong. I prefer to play some games on consoles and some games on PC. Keyboard and mouse really isn't for everyone either, but I feel like an entire video could be made on the ridiculous inputs people have used to control games. Funny enough, this entire video was bred from the fact that I just really wanted to play Modern Warfare 2 on my PS5, but I didn't want to walk to my office to play on my PC. To be honest, I was just angry that it was going to cost me another £70 to play it, so instead, I just made this video. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed it, and let me know down below if you're a console gamer, PC gamer, or if you do a bit of both, or neither. Subscribe if you're new, as it really does help me out, and I hope to see you all again soon. Take it easy.